We absolutely love hospitality. People are looking for an experience, and that's what I love about hospitality, is we're bringing them something unique and something different, something that they're going to remember their vacation by, where they stayed, what kind of amenities they were given. The little touches go a really long way.
Got Hillary Folkvord with us today. Hillary, thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Thank you.
This is awesome. So Hillary, we're here at the RSVP. You just opened it, right?
Yes, 2 weeks ago, actually.
Fantastic. So please, if you want to get a reservation, give a call here. How can people find the RSVP?
www.rsvpmotel.com, or give us a call here.
Excellent. So Hillary, we're really here to learn about you. So why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself and about your family?
Yes, so currently I'm the general manager here at the RSVP Motel. I also still oversee our other property, the Sacajawea Hotel in Three Forks, Montana. That was our first boutique hotel property we opened in 2010. So this is our second, and we're really excited. Our dream as a family is to have 10 of these boutique hotels in the next 10 years. So pretty lofty goal, but I think it's definitely doable. We absolutely love hospitality. People are looking for an experience, and that's what I love about hospitality, is we're bringing them something unique and something different, something that they're going to remember their vacation by, where they stayed, what kind of amenities they were given. The little touches go a really long way. We love to travel, and when we go on our travels, we always pick up new little things that we see in the rooms, or new little check-in experiences that we want to bring to guests, especially in Montana, because a lot of people don't expect that when they come to Montana. They think we're still the Wild West out here, and when they get here and we have champagne when you check in, a hot hand towel, people are just blown away by it. So in my other part of my life, I'm also a full-time blogger. My blog is called Lady H. It's a travel lifestyle blog. It's all about relating to everyone. You can relate to me in this blog 100%. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, a sister, a daughter, and I want to share all the things that I learn along the way. I call myself the guinea pig when it comes to skincare products or health and wellness or diets or whatever it is. I like to share that on my blog, especially having a daughter now too. I want to share all the things that I do with her, and some things that I'm learning along the way as well, that I hope that I can inspire other people, or just give some great advice that I've learned as well.
So your family is originally a ranching or farming family that then got into the retail side of the world, now into the hotel, and now soon to be restaurant side, as well as you're going to have an event center next door of the RSVP.
Yes, we always say we don't like to do things simply. We always like to complicate things, but it always makes it really interesting. Especially the event centers really complement the hotel. If we have 90 music events happening over here, we're gonna have 90 days we're sold out here. So it really works hand in hand. We know how important an event center is to a hotel. Same thing with a restaurant. Is people, they want a staycation or they want a vacation, they want a great restaurant at their hotel. They don't have to leave the property, and that's what we want to give them at all of our locations.
Now, you've been involved in the family businesses since an early age, correct?
Yes.
Okay, what is it like growing up as a kid in an entrepreneurial family?
It's not always easy, I'll tell you that. It comes with very many challenges and a lot of expectations. That's the biggest thing. My parents are the hardest working people I've ever met in my entire life. My grandfather, who was a big part of the Wheat Montana business, was an extremely hard worker. He was a son of an immigrant. He had an equivalent of an 8th grade education, and what he accomplished in his lifetime is above and beyond what anyone would have expected. So for me to see him and what he had accomplished, I said, I can do anything. My first business, actually, I was 8, and we started growing a garden and started selling vegetables outside of the deli, which then we ended up doing wheat bouquets, where we cut the wheat, strip them down and tie them in pretty bouquets and sell them in the deli. And I think there was one summer that I think we made like $10,000 at like a 10-year-old. So it was like our first business, our first claim to fame. Martha Stuart called us, she bought 10 bouquets, and then why I'm not doing that business still is beyond me. But it was a really fun start into the world of entrepreneurship and hard work and what that looks like.
So what is it that really drove you to be where you're at today in the entrepreneurial world?
Right. first and foremost is working for myself, and that was the biggest thing for me. Is I probably work more hours than most people, but I pick my own hours, and whether that be 12 o'clock at night or whether that be at 6 a.m., whatever that is, I get to pick my own schedule, my own hours. I also love to travel, so I'm lucky that with technology these days, we can do that anywhere in the world, and whenever we travel, we always spend the first part of the day working and just catching up on what we need to do back home, and then when we get back, we're rejuvenated and ready to hit the ground running.
And so you've been at this more or less your whole life, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is it like now? Your husband, Nick, you've now got a young daughter, Olivia. She's a year and a half old?
Yes.
Okay. Now as a mom, you're still working these crazy hours.
Mm-hmm.
What is it like being a mom now?
Right. At first, I thought I got to find this balance between work and family life, and I decided there is no balance, and that's okay, and that's maybe the way that I want it. But when I'm with my daughter, I try to be as present as I possibly can be. It's really about turning off the phone, turning off social media, and just really being with her. My mornings are absolutely sacred with her. So I get up about an hour early for her, get organized, and then her and I spend 2 hours together, whether that be a walk or playing or books or whatever that is our time together, no matter what. So I think that's really important to set aside that time and just designate that for sure for family time. I'm so fortunate to have an amazing husband who's so supportive. I could not be doing what I'm doing without him. And we work really well together in terms of scheduling and really trying to make it all work. And also having an amazing support from my family. My parents and my sister are amazing to help me out with Olivia as well. And without that, I could not do what I do.
So you just mentioned your sister.
Yes.
Why don't you introduce her to the audience real quick?
So my sister is Haley Folkvord. She's 6 years younger than me, but she's been my business partner since literally the beginning of time. When we were selling vegetables, she would stand outside the deli with her fiddle and her fiddle case open, and she would just make the money because she was 5 years old playing the fiddle. But she's always been my business partner. She's helped me with this project as well. Our new cafe is called The Farmer's Daughters, which is very fitting since our dad is actually a farmer and we grew up in that farm world. And so I'm so fortunate to have her. She has a great vision. She's very creative. So I'm very analytical, and then she has a creative side that really comes together nicely.
Excellent. So with Haley, what is her kind of role in the business?
So she does all her sales and events for our Sacajawea Hotel, which she's amazing to work with these brides and the mothers of the brides and all the things that go on to these weddings. So she's really good at that. And then here she's just assisting me day by day, things that need to go on here, things that we need to spruce up the rooms, or whether that be a guest experience. So she's really helping me a ton here, open this place and make this successful.
Well, that's fantastic. You know, when I got to interview your father, it's so rare that a family is so integrated in the business together, from your grandparents on down to your mom and dad, to you and your sister.
Yes.
I mean, it's just spectacular. What do you think are a couple of keys that you can tell people to make that work, because it's so rare?
Absolutely. Well, it's definitely not easy. And I real quick want to bring my mom into the picture because she does so much. She does all the books for this place and all Sacajawea and all of our other 9 LLCs. So she handles all of that. A couple of quick things that I think are so important. First, having someone like my mom. She watches every penny and dime that goes in and out of these businesses, and she's a stickler. It is huge. Watch your invoices, go over them over and over and over again because there's so many missed costs. I think that's huge. But family business, really being open and honest with each other, communicating, over communicating, and just being honest about what's going on, what we can do better, how we can help each other out. It's easier working in a family business in that regard because if there is an issue, you can just be very direct about it. You don't need to sugarcoat it, which we appreciate. But just having that really strong bond of the same goals, that's the amazing part. We all know what the end goal is, and we're all working towards that every day. And so it makes it so streamlined and so much easier in that regard.
So you mentioned same goals. That's interesting. Do you meet regularly to kind of go over what these goals are or what you're trying to achieve?
So we meet twice a week. We have a family meeting once a week, and they usually get a little heated, but it's good for us just to kind of hash everything out and make sure everyone's accountable. And that's the biggest thing. We give everyone a task for the week and say, you do that, we're going to follow up next week, and if you don't do those, your ass is grass. And I don't know if I can say that on here, but we got to be accountable. That's big. And then we have family dinners every Thursday night, and that's really amazing time for us to come together, have a glass of wine, kind of rehash what's gone on in the week, and regroup for the weekend because we all work our weekends, and just make sure that we're ready to go and just kind of have that time. It's usually the best time for us to come up with new ideas and really explore fun new opportunities that are coming our way.
So your blog is so much about giving back, right?
Absolutely.
How do your family, I know your father's very giving in the community. How do you guys do this? You're so busy, right? You're on charitable groups, you're giving financially. How do you keep it all balanced?
Yep, it's a very interesting balance, but first, the blog has really created this amazing community, this community of women who are entrepreneurs, who are mothers, and we can all come together and say, what's everyone doing, or what do you do for this, or what are you feeding your kid, and why is my kid crying all the time? So that the blog's been really amazing. I first started the blog just to be a way to share things that I love, but it's become so much more than that. It's really become a community of women that are sharing great things. We love giving back. I think after you have a certain success, you have to, and everyone needs to have that sort of social economic growth in their life to say, how do we give back to everyone? And that's really important in our family.
So you've developed Lady H, the blog portion of it, into more of a community than just you blogging to the world.
Yes, and I did not expect that to happen. I thought I would share my outfits online, I would share what I'm eating, but it's become so much more than that. I'm learning from everyone. People are learning from each other. They're connecting through my blog, and I think that's really amazing that all these women are all of a sudden like, oh, I met you through Hillary's blog, here or there, and people are meeting up and having conversations, and I think that's huge.
So oftentimes we hear in our industries, oh, somebody's a disruptor, right? What do you see in your world as kind of the next disruption or the next big change or evolution?
Wow, that's a great question. Let me think about that, because that's a perfect question. What is the next disruptor?
That's a challenging one.
There's a few things. I think in terms of the digital world, I think everything's going video. So I think video is so huge, and I would love to, right now we're actually doing a series of the progression of this place, start to finish, on how it looked before, and so it's a 5-part series, and you can find that on my blog. It's really interesting. I think video, people are really diving into that aspect. I think podcasts are everything right now. One of my goals is to have a family podcast about business and life one of these days. I just kind of a rotator of like, maybe it's my dad's the host interviewing someone or whoever it is, and sharing some of our experiences, but also learning from some of the best mentors that we've had as well. And at the end of the day, it's all about community. It's all about having this group of people, whether that be in the Bozeman community or the Montana community, or even within our family, of having that support. And it's amazing how we're seeing it's more about collaboration over competition right now, and I think that's really incredible.
So you mentioned podcasts, your blog. Tell us a couple blogs, a couple podcasts that you'd love to read, listen to.
Darren Hardy, he's absolutely one of my favorite people to listen to, hands down, read all of his books. I actually just completed a productivity course with him online, and it helped me so much on how to be focused when I'm at work and how to get more things done. There's a lot of hours in the day, so I've learned that. The Skinny Confidential has a him and her podcast. Her blog's amazing, and her podcast is even better. This girl is brilliant. She's a social entrepreneur, but her podcast does everything from wellness to business to lifestyle. It's incredible. I'm also listening to The Wellness Mama, because in my free time I got to see what people are doing for their kids that are really great for them, really for health and wellness, and so The Wellness Mama is great. And those are a few of my podcasts that I stick to wholeheartedly, and I believe what they're saying, and I love what they're saying.
Feed me more about Wellness Mama.
Yes, Wellness Mama, she's definitely changed my outlook on how you can raise kids in this really holistic way, but in a really fun, natural way where you're not being too over crazy with your children. I think wellness is a real big part of my life. If I don't have that self-care and I don't take care of myself, I cannot take care of the people around me. I cannot take care of my family. So it's a really important time for me. Self-care, I will always make time for it no matter what. I always get up early and work out. And eat really good throughout the day. Otherwise, I just don't function well. And I want to feed my family the right things too. And so I'm really tough about that in my house, about what we're eating. And we're going to bed at decent hours and things like that, because it's so important to me.
So sleep's a big deal, food.
Sleep.
What are you doing psychologically to keep yourself mentally fresh?
Absolutely. Meditation has been huge. So every morning I try to do it before my daughter gets up, and just spend, maybe it's 5 minutes or maybe it's 5 minutes in the afternoon, just to regroup and be like, what are you doing and what is the big picture? Because it's so easy to get stuck into our everyday, the little things that are going on, our little bubbles, all the little details, like what's the big picture and why am I doing this?
Now, there's so many types of meditation. I'm a big believer in it. I used to not be.
Yep.
I have become a big believer in about the last 8 months. There are a lot of different types. What is the type that works best for you?
Yep. So right now I'm using an app called Headspace. It's absolutely amazing. It reminds me in the morning at 5 a.m. be like, you better get in your meditation today. And it's just about 10 minutes, and it's a guided meditation, and it's absolutely wonderful. I highly recommend it to everyone. Another fun app that I use for my health and wellness is called Pacer. It's an app to see how many steps you take in a day, and it's really nice for me just to say, okay, where am I at today? Do I need to go for a walk, turn on a podcast, or should I do my conference call, walking around the block next? So I like to incorporate as much as I can for my mental and for my body and anything that I can throughout the day that are kind of tips and tricks.
Now, I told you I've got an amazing sister. She's just an unbelievable, dynamic businesswoman. And I've got a little niece who's just a great little young lady. If you're trying to give some words of wisdom to a young woman out there who's trying to come up in the business world, what are a few things you can give them to really, make them believe this is possible what you're doing?
Absolutely.
You can have family, you can have business.
Absolutely.
There's ways to make it all work.
You can absolutely do it all, and that's what I'm learning. The support system around you is the most important thing, and making sure that you have those key people. Your partner is everything, just to make sure that you're on the same page and your goals all align. Also, for young women in this day and age, technology is so incredible where you really can do it from anywhere. And whether that be, a few hours late at night after the baby goes to bed, or before, my biggest thing is getting up before the rest of the world does, and before my baby gets up, and before my husband, just so I can have that time to regroup and make sure that I'm ready to go for the day. And I think just setting that time aside to be like, okay, what do you need for the day before anyone else gets up is huge.
I have so many questions. I'm going to try and keep these linear fashion if I can, but I feel like I'm jumping around, Hillary, so keep following me.
Okay, great.
The ability to have the drive that you have, is that something that just comes naturally, or do you have to work at that every day?
I will say it was very much ingrained in me at an early age. My parents worked so hard. They were working 7 days a week, so that's all we knew growing up. So I just assumed that's what everyone does, But with that, I know there's a lot of great rewards and benefits with working really hard. I said I love to travel. There are some days where I don't feel that motivated, and I say you're going to work to travel today. So whether that be like a trip at the end of the month or whatever that is, I always like to keep myself motivated in that way, because seeing the world is what really drives me. And also just seeing this community grow is another big part for me. Is every day meeting new people, connecting with new people. That really gets me going. When people are DMing me, asking me questions about business or about life via my Instagram, I absolutely love that, and that keeps me going every day. So thanks to everyone that's been part of my community.
You mentioned Darren Hardy, that you take a class from him. When I was a young entrepreneur, I thought that, and I'm just getting exposed to life coaching.
Yep.
But I thought that was all just garbage. That was for people who just don't know, aren't smart enough, or they don't have the right drive. They just didn't have it. So I always kind of, shoved it off. I poo-pooed it, if you will. You raise it. It's something I'm new to and learning and beginning to participate in. What made you say, I need help to get over something or to improve something inside of me?
There are those days that are extremely overwhelming, and you say, how can I ever get it all done? And I've read a lot of Darren's books. This is years back, and I listened to a lot of his podcasts and things like that, and I love what he has to say. And after doing his productivity course, he really put things in perspective about how much wasted time I have during the day. So it has helped me be extremely focused. He talks a lot about time blocking, and I've used that every day. If for tasks, it's an hour here or an hour of uninterrupted work has changed my life completely. And I think there's a lot that we can learn from a lot of people that have success, or a lot of people that have learned the hard way, or they figured it out. Is like, how do we take little bits and pieces of what they're doing and work for you, or however that works for you? And it's been a game changer.
That's fantastic, because I think what happens so many times for all of us is we are just go, 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 and we have our own blinders on that we don't realize.
Absolutely.
So tell me another area in life where you've run into that.
Right. I think you have to invest in yourself and in your time, whatever that is. I look at doing a Darren Hardy, workbook as that's work for me because it's going to help my productivity in the long run, or that's going to help me in another area of my life. I think you have to make that time for self-growth, whatever that is. Maybe it's 10 minutes a day to read a book, or maybe it's, a little bit before bed, or however that is. You got to make that time to grow, because you get so stuck in our little bubbles of every day of like just the mechanical things of your emails and whatnot. So you got to step back and be like, okay, what am I really doing this for, and how can I improve what I'm doing?
Excellent. So I want to spin that now over to work-life balance, because that is a phrase that I think gets overused. I hate it.
Me too.
Drives me bonkers, because to me work-life balance is different for each of us. Right? How do you find your own personal balance and set aside time, because you've talked about how important your daughter is to you, how important your husband is, so that you get that time with them.
Right.
And I'm sorry to interrupt. Do you actually say, this is a time slot I will not give up no matter what life?
Right. I totally agree with you. Work-life balance. I do not like that phrase. I personally chose not to have work-life balance because I wanted to have more of the freedom throughout my day or whatever that is or my life, just to figure it out, however that works. The balance with my family is funny. We set aside time, throughout the week, but that's not every day. We try to do our mornings as much as we can. Try to have that morning routine. I think morning routines are so important. But other than that, we make time for each other throughout the week. Maybe that's a quick dinner, maybe that's a quick lunch, or however that is. We always are going to figure out our times. I love taking my daughter to Books and Babies or whatever that might be during the day, and I'm very fortunate that I can take some time or an hour off of work to go do that. But that's a sacrifice that I am willing to make in terms of working more and figuring that out as she gets older, for sure.
Excellent. So when talking about Darren Hardy, are there any other major influencers in your life?
Oh my gosh, yes. Well, first, my father and my mother. I can go to them for business advice for anything, and I think that's so huge. What I've learned from them, you cannot learn at school. It's absolutely incredible, their experience, especially the way that my dad handles conflicts within his business or with employees. I've never seen someone so calm and understanding, and I've learned so much from him. I tend to be like my grandfather and sometimes have a hot head where I just want to snap to conclusions, and I'm learning quickly from my dad to be very calm about things and just kind of figure things out there. Remind me what the other part of the question was.
Oh, I lost it. I was so
okay, good.
enthralled
Okay,
when
maybe
you were
we
talking
got it.
about your
Mentors.
Influencers.
Yeah, any
yes.
influencers and mentors. Gary Vaynerchuk, as you guys know, he's kind of out there, and I love his perspective. He's just boom, boom, boom in your face. You do it or you don't do it. So I appreciate that so much. And he came from a family business as well, and he really knew what sacrifice meant at the beginning, and I love his perspective on business.
How about women influencers? Because there are so many powerful women out there in business that I don't feel Sandberg, on and on, that they don't get enough credit.
Absolutely. I know Cheryl was, her book was absolutely incredible for me. I read that, 5-6 years ago, right in the beginning of my career, and I was just blown away by her perspective. My favorite quote she always said is that little girls who are told they are bossy should be told they have leadership skills, and that was me 100% growing up, because everyone's like, you're so bossy, you're so bossy. So I think that's really great. On social media, I have some really amazing women that I look up to. Off the top of my head, that are family, work life. Who are they? There's one gal, her name's Lauren Gore. She has a blog called You and Lou, and she just started a new makeup brand company, and she's absolutely crushing it. But she also has a little one, so it's just nice to relate to a lot of people that are also going through the same things that you are, that you're like, yeah, life is a little bit messy right now sometimes, but it works out fine, and you're doing the best you can every day, and that's all you can do as a mom and working mom. You can do the best you can every day. It's not always beautiful, it's not always perfect, but the best you can.
That's fantastic. When you're building a business, and it's such an influential time, not just on your life, but on those of the team you're trying to build, what are some of the philosophies that you bring to the table in building a team in a new place like RSVP?
Building the right team is the most important thing. My biggest thing these days is hire people that are smarter than you, that can absolutely teach me things that they've learned in their experience, because my experience in hospitality is not that extensive, but if you can hire people who can teach you some things and you can teach them some of your ways, it's a good combination. Having the right team is everything. Out at the Sacajawea Hotel, we have have the most incredible team right now. I could not be happier about that. Everyone from our general manager to our chef who's been there for 8 years, we all work so well together. So we're starting to build that here. We have an incredible team starting here right now, and I am blown away by the talent in Bozeman, Montana, and about the quality of people. And it's all about starting this little family. We call it this little, if you're in the inner circle within our family, it's kind of scary and good and bad and all the things. But once you're in that inner circle, like, we will take care of our people no matter what, whether that be financially, whether that be send people to school. We fix people's teeth braces if they wanted them. Like, we've done, we'll do anything for anyone as long as you're like, with you show us that you're part of this team and we work really well together.
That's fantastic. How has technology changed your business, whether it's social media or technology inside your companies, to make life easier, to make the customer experience better?
Yes, technology is definitely changing everything. Social media is huge. I mean, it's free marketing, and it's amazing where that is going in that direction. One of the fun tech nuances that we're using here is online check-in, where you check in online, we send you your key code, you can go right to your door, you can avoid the check-in process, which is really great. We also don't have to have as many staff members here, which is also really great on the bottom line, in terms of people can just check in on their own. We have a lot of millennials that are staying with us, so they really are into it, they really understand it, and they appreciate it. So I think that's huge. Everything's wireless for us. We don't have a bunch of computers here. Everyone's either on a laptop or an iPad, just streamlining things very much. Communication is way easier than it ever used to be. I mean, you can send a text to all the housekeepers or to all of our front desk staff all at once, and everyone communicates in such a streamlined way. We're so fortunate in that way.
Excellent. What is it that you're doing with technology now? You mentioned the texting to everybody, but what are you doing with it specifically to help your businesses now get to the next level? Because like the Sacajawea, for instance, that's an old style hotel.
Absolutely. There's a couple of ways. First, I'll bring it back to the blog. My blog, I had no idea would have such an effect it does on my business. I just thought it would be a blog and I'm going to share things with people and maybe I'll monetize it. We'll see what happens. It has changed both businesses. Having an online portfolio or online personality is huge, especially when you're technically in the sales world. I'm a salesperson at the end of the day, right? And you can easily share what you're doing with people in a really organic way. People are so over ads in their faces. They want information that are actually informative and interesting. No one wants an ad anymore. Like, we're over that, right? So I think that's huge. I think we are working with a lot of influencers, especially the Sacajawea. They're coming, they're traveling with their families, they have huge online followings, we're letting them stay with us, they have great experiences, and they're sharing them with their followers. With one click of the button, they are hitting 100,000 people. That's insane. You could not get that from any ad, any print ad out there. So the influencers are huge, and working with the right brands in that regard has been a game changer for both businesses.
So with that, what do you see that you, your sister, your mom, dad, that you as a team, as a family team, are doing that is really a disruptive kind of event or philosophy in this industry?
A few things that we are doing there. Number one, experiences are everything, and we are bringing a new, hip experience to everyone. Whether they even be at our old hotel, the little touches, the little amenities, it's different than you'll ever find anywhere else. Doing that in Montana, again, I think people think that we're still old school out here, and they come here and they see a fresh outlook. They go, wow, where are we again? This is really cool. This is happening in Bozeman, Montana. So I think that's really cool. I just think being a really tight little family unit is huge as well, and we can get a lot of things accomplished with the 5 of us. My husband helps out as well. I think that's huge. Just being a tight-knit group, a lot can get accomplished in a day.
So I love the fact that you talk about little old Bozeman, Montana, right? Mm-hmm. Little old Three Forks, Montana. I mean, I am just blown away at how successful the Sacajawea is. This old school hotel that your family's put blood, sweat, and tears into building back up. It's a beautiful place. And I sit here as an outsider and go, how the heck do you get anybody to come to Three Forks?
Absolutely. Like we talked about, it started with the right people, having the right chef, having the right feel once you step foot into that building has been a game changer. Through the hard work out there, we've been recognized by some big brands like Vogue was here the other day, and Travel and Leisure, things like that that really spark other people's interests, and they really spread the word about there's this little gem in Three Forks, Montana. You're gonna see like small town America at its finest, and you gotta come check it out. So it's just the little touches that really make a big difference, and people will remember that.
You just gave me a phrase that I had not really thought of that applies to every business. And it doesn't matter, there's one of my influencers that I follow, he says, my business is no different than your business.
Right.
And your phrase of start to finish experience, it doesn't matter what business you're in.
Right.
How many times a day or a week do you walk into another business and just go, where's the start to finish?
Yes.
Where's even the start?
Exactly. And I always like to tell our staff, as you put yourself in the guest experience, how would you like to be treated? What would you like when you step foot in that room? What do you want when you check out? What are the little things that make a big difference at the end of the day? And just put yourself in their shoes.
That's fantastic. So going back into some of your influencers, what are a couple of books? Because I know you, and I haven't asked this before, do you get your voracious appetite for learning from your dad, from your mom? Is that something you were just born with as a child?
I think I was born with a little bit of it, and then I think I just saw how hard my parents worked, and I thought, why not? I mean, that's normal, right? That's what I thought, for sure. So my influence really comes from my parents, from my family, but of course I love to read books. My husband is an avid reader, and he always turns me on to some great books. The Tim Ferriss book, The 4-Hour Workweek. I mean, that was amazing how he really, you really, if you focus on your work for 4 hours, I mean, how much you can actually get accomplished versus all the distractions we have, whether it be our phone or a text message or a random call that's important. So I think that book was really great. What else am I reading right now that's so good? I read a lot of health and wellness books. I know that sounds crazy, but right now I'm reading The Rain Barrel Effect, and it is by Dr. Stephen Cabral. He has changed my outlook on health and wellness. He starts, and it talks a lot about business, because he talks about the rain barrel effect, where just the little things of like not getting enough rest will really make you drink more coffee throughout the day, and then like you're not as productive, and then like just it's trickling down effect of not taking care of yourself and how it really applies to your entire life. And I think his outlook on things is amazing. I highly encourage this book to everyone. I think it's amazing.
Now, I'm not calling Tim Ferriss out on his book, but I know you work more than 4 hours a week.
100%. I mean, I like the philosophy around it, but I think, once again, just trying to be as productive as you can be within, your time frame, whether that be 8 hours or whatever that is. I know that I'm learning that I am not as productive as I think I am. I loved when, I think it was Darren Hardy who once said he wore a stopwatch around his chest for his entire work day, and if he was actually like moving the needle to make money for his business, he would click on the stopwatch. And the first day it was 14 seconds. And we as like, entrepreneurs, or we as business people, we're like, we work so hard, we work 12 hours a day, but how much of that was actually like moving the needle today? And that's a lot of times I have to take a step back and say, okay, some of my emails that I think that, I hate being bombarded with sometimes, I'm like, they might not be as important. What's gonna move the needle today? And that's what I really have to be cautious of.
So you set aside specific time in your day to move the needle?
Yes, absolutely. So a couple of things. The biggest game changer for me recently has been time blocking emails. Because I talk about emails so much because we live in this world where everyone thinks it's so easy just to send an email off and they expect a response within 5 seconds. And I think that is absolutely not the way to live, is, married to my emails. So I set around times like throughout the day, 15-minute time blocks. And I'm finding that has been extremely helpful versus standing in line somewhere and trying to like check my phone, check my emails, or trying to get things done, like setting aside time. And then setting aside like an hour or 2 hours a day, 2 separate hours a day of just like time blocking of like, okay, what's a project that has to get completed today? What's gonna move the needle today that's super important? Those are the times that I'm like, that's, at the end of the day, those are the 2 hours that are the most productive of my day.
So for the younger generation growing up with technology, do you find that you need times of the day away from technology?
100%. Our phones are such a huge distraction. I think they say it takes 25, if you're working on a project and you get a text message, you check it takes 25 minutes to get refocused. So right there, how many times are we being interrupted throughout our day that we're like, our brains are all over the place and you can't really focus? On days when I get done, my days and my brain is frazzled, it was just a day that I was on my phone, on my computer, on my phone, and just doing too many things at one time versus just setting down, doing a task, doing the next task, and then my brain can just kind of function in a more productive way.
So do you then communicate with your team to say, hey, this time slot today
Yes.
is mine only?
Absolutely, whether that be that I remove myself from our business and just go to a coffee shop and plug in my earbuds and say I'm gonna work on my project, whatever that has to be, I need that time because that is the time that's actually moving the needle. Any
other books or blogs or anything that we've kind of keyed in here that you can think of that might help some folks going forward?
I'm going to mention the Skinny Confidential one more time because I think her blog is absolutely one of the best out there in terms of females, entrepreneurs, and especially the digital world. She is brilliant at her marketing. Everything is on brand, start to finish, and I think she has really great information that's good information that she's applied to her life and has worked really well. So she's one of the big ones out there for my big influencers that I love to follow. Actually, I will go back to one other blog that I'm reading right now that I love. It's called Damsel in Dior. It's a fashion blog, but I get a lot of inspiration in terms of style, aesthetic, branding for my company. I think she's so on brand, and I get a lot of ideas. Even though she's in the fashion world, it really carries over to a lot of what I see and what I do every day.
Well, and goes right to your customer experience, right?
Right, absolutely.
Again, your business is no different than my business. You have to pull those nuggets from other people, right?
Absolutely.
We can't come up with everything ourselves.
Right.
Why not learn from those who've already done it?
Absolutely.
This is fantastic, Hillary. I can't thank you enough for your time today.
Yeah.
Do you have any little parting words of wisdom for anybody out there?
I don't know if my father said this, but one of our family mottos is if you dream alone, it's only a dream. But if you share your dreams with others, dreams become reality. And that really happened here at the RSVP. It happened at the Sacajawea. We have some big plans, some big goals in mind in the next few years. So stay tuned. Hopefully there's more of these properties popping up all over.
That's fantastic. Well, I sure hope we can get your sister in on one of these interviews because that would be great. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Everybody, just wonderful. We can't believe how lucky we are to get to sit down with Hillary. This is just amazing. Hopefully she'll give us this chance again in a year or two so that we can see where she's now gone the next phase. I believe you and your husband are going to have another child as your goal?
More kids on the way, so that should be fun. I think.
Which is awesome. So then we'll get to check in with you on that and see how the family's growing. So this is fantastic. Thank you so much, Hillary.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. This is great. I can't tell you how excited we are just to keep doing this and keep giving back to our community here. Thank you for joining us, Silverman Law Office here. Joel Silverman, have a wonderful day.
One more thing. Because I am a social guy. How do we find you on social?
Absolutely. You can find me at Hillary Folkvord, that's HILLARY FOLKVORD, or ladyh.life.